I'm Abby.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Ethan.
We're Heartland Mysteries.
The spring of 2006 had been a difficult time for 27-year-old Brian Shaffer. Following the recent death of his mother, a much-needed spring break was on the horizon. Brian persevered through the month of March, and after a night out with friends to celebrate the end of a grueling month, Brian Shaffer was never seen again. So this is the Brian Shaffer thing.
The thing?
Yes.
I feel stupid. Who is Brian Shaffer?
So Brian Shaffer, I'm glad you asked. He was an undergraduate at the Ohio State University. Rewind. He was a graduate student at the Ohio State University.
He was an undergraduate.
He was overgraduating.
He's studying microbiology and all that good stuff. And one day he went missing from the Ugly Tuna Saluna.
Is there really an A at the end of
Yes.
Saluna?
It is the Ugly Tuna Saluna.
Well, it's not there
I feel bad
anymore.
for
It can't
laughing.
be.
I feel bad for
What?
laughing.
It can't be there anymore, right? That's an old
It's
spot.
actually still there. They moved locations.
So that it was at OSU's campus.
It was at. Let me
Of
see.
course.
It was
OSU
at
would
Gateway.
have.
It
Yeah.
was.
So
They got a
that's
movie
Saluna.
theater down there now. It's off
Yeah.
off of High Street.
Their old location was on the second floor of Gateway, which is like a big spot right on High Street. Their new location is somewhere on Chittenden. I've been there once.
Where's that?
It's a shithole.
Lovely.
What part of town is that in?
Chittenden Avenue, right off High Street. It's like down in like the frat area.
Oh, Old
Oh,
North.
bro, I almost got hit by a
Kind
car
of.
in the frat area.
It's right by Oldfield.
It's scary.
I don't know what that is either. I get the area though. I got some friends who live down there.
Yeah.
Why'd they
Anyways,
move?
Tuna
You think?
Saluna.
You think the guy going missing was bad for business?
It might have been. I think that would do some damage. So yes, so Brian was 27. It was the spring of 2006, and while he was studying at OSU, his mom passed away, and it was kind of a tough month for him, and spring break was coming up. And so he was kind of making plans. He had a girlfriend at the time. Her name was Alexis, and they had big plans to go to Miami over spring break. So right after midterms finished up, he met up with his dad at Outback Steakhouse, and they kind of caught up and chatted for a little while. After the dinner, he called his girlfriend. Little chit-chat. After the dinner, he called his girlfriend and confirmed their plans for spring break. It was a very normal conversation. She said he ended the call by saying, "I love you." It was just, nothing seemed wrong with him.
Very
And then-
casual.
Yeah, good stuff. So then, the next call that Brian made was to his friend Clint, and the two had made plans to meet up and bar hop around the Ohio State campus. There were a bunch of bars around there, and Clint recalled that they both took a shot at each bar before moving on to the next. So, kind of pounding it all night.
How many bars?
It didn't say how many bars, but
Double digits?
I hope not.
Bro,
I
that
hope
many
not.
shots. Oh.
It'd be a lot. As the night progressed, Clint reached out to his
Wait,
friend.
hold up. Shots of what?
Shots of what? Couldn't tell you, and they probably couldn't either.
Because see, taking shots of like gin versus vodka would be two completely different experiences.
It's true.
Speak for yourself.
I am.
Fair enough.
So, as the night progressed, Clint reached out to his friend Meredith, who picked the boys up and drove them both to the Ugly Tuna Saluna in order to finish out the night. And I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but just to reiterate, the bar itself is on the second floor of a larger building, and the only way into the bar is to go up the escalators of the larger building and then enter through the main entrance of Ugly Tuna.
So is it like a mall setup?
Yeah, it's close to
Does
a
it
mall.
count as a shopping center? I don't.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
Maybe
like,
back then.
I mean, I used to go to a karate place that was located at the top of like this old pizza place. So
I-
in downtown.
yeah, I imagine it's a lot like that. There's a movie theater, there's a bunch of other
It's all,
shops.
it's like that's all it is now. It's just the movie theater and restaurants, but
Yeah.
not too much going on.
Okay.
So that's the only way to get in and out of Ugly Tuna, except for a service door in the very back that's employees only. And
Okay.
there are
Two entrances.
two
Okay,
entrances.
Two
I'm trying
possible
to
ways to leave.
visualize this in my head.
Yes.
Okay.
So Clint, Meredith, and Brian all arrived at Ugly Tuna around 1:15 a.m., and they were seen on a CCTV camera going up the escalator and into the bar. From that period of time, we're not really sure what happened in the bar, but the next time that Brian was seen on camera was at 1:55 a.m. The same CCTV camera captured him standing just outside of the main entrance to the bar, still up on the second floor. And he was talking to two unidentified women. It was a very brief conversation, and then he turned and seemed to be walking back into the bar. And that was the last time he was captured on video.
Interesting. That's literally, okay, it was from 1:40 something a.m.?
So they all arrived at Tuna at 1:15.
Oh, 1:15. Oh, okay, I misheard that, my bad.
And then he was seen again at 1:55, kind of hanging around outside the bar.
And if he was bar hopping,
then he
why would
comes
he
back.
why would he spend
But
like
did
45
his crew
minutes at one
notice
bar?
that he came back?
Yeah, so after he came back in, the bar closed at 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he re-enters the bar, and he kind of has a brief conversation with Clint and Meredith, where they're like, yeah, I'm about ready to head out, like, bar's closing, let's kind of make our way to the exit. At this time, Clint recalls that Brian said that he was going to go up to the stage area. So they got separated at that moment, and Brian left to go to the stage area for some reason, and Clint and Meredith walked out of the bar without him. That was the last time that anybody was able to get a hold of Brian or see him throughout the rest of the night.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it makes sense if they didn't see him leave. It's like, sure, maybe he got, went home like they thought, but like if no one saw him leave, because like they had to have interviewed people after the fact.
Right, like even after like the bars closed, like there's got, how many security cameras are we talking? Like there's got to be somewhere that he's caught.
I mean, what year was this though?
2006.
6?
Okay, so maybe not.
And so that's the weird part.
They had him, but probably less than they do now.
Right. Like, you would think that they would have them at all, like, obviously the 2 exits of the building, and then how else would he get out of the building unless through one of those?
So that's...
Was there an entrance to any of the other buildings on the side?
He never left.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
He's
Talk
trapped.
about hiding bodies in your basement.
So that's the weird part. So after Clint and Meredith left the bar, they waited outside for a decent amount of time to see if Brian was going to come down the escalators and meet up with them. And he never did. Later on, police interviewed anybody that was at the bar, and they asked witnesses to see, like, hey, did you see this guy leave?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody saw him leave. He wasn't seen on any CCTV exiting the building. And so at this point, Clint and Meredith figured, okay, he probably just left, and we'll walk home without him, and he'll probably be okay. Which I know is a little questionable.
But, when you're intoxicated, you make questionable
decisions. So yeah, they figured it was all going to work out, and they went ahead and walked home.
You say that they interviewed people. Was that after he was declared missing, like after that night?
Yeah, this is much later in the investigation. They looked back at all the
So,
footage.
like, they just decided, like, oh, he's not coming, we're just going to go home and assume that he'll meet us at home later.
Yeah.
Usually that works.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's happened to
totally.
buddies of mine. They lose him, and then they get a call
They just
3 hours later.
magically
Like,
appear.
yo, I'm on this street. I don't know where I'm at.
Yo,
Come pick me
I'm
up.
like 500 miles away from you. Can you buy me an Uber?
Right? So in the morning on April 1st, that's when it became clear that something had gone wrong. Both Clint and Meredith had tried several times to call Brian, and nobody was ever successful. At this point, Brian's girlfriend had been out of town in Toledo for a couple of days, but she returned home that afternoon and quickly heard that Brian had gone missing. So she decided to visit his apartment and check out, like, is he here? What's going on?
Right.
When she got there, she saw that his car was still in the driveway, but that he was not there, and nothing in the house was disturbed at all.
Oh, right, because then if he was with Clint and Meredith, then they would have carpooled, right?
Yeah, Meredith drove Clint and
Brian
to the bar. So
okay,
if he had left somewhere,
right? But if he would have gotten back home and then okay,
yeah.
Did he live
Sorry.
on campus?
I think he lived in an apartment near campus because he was still at school there, but
yeah.
not a dorm.
So where did his brother and his girlfriend go? Or his buddy, rather.
Oh, back to Meredith's place.
It's
If she drove.
Yeah, I imagine that Meredith probably took Clint back to her apartment or back to their place, or I don't know what their relationship was, but
Right.
Who knows?
who knows?
Hey, yo. But hold on, real quick. If they would have originally brought Brian back,
From the dead?
No, like back from the bar. But then they took the car that got him there. Was Uber a thing back in 2006?
I'm not sure, but
No.
Meredith wasn't with them for their first several rounds of drinks. So
Right, because they were bar hopping. That you just walk, right?
So when Meredith got to Tuna, she was only there for about 45 minutes, so she might not have had enough to warrant an Uber. She could have still been able to drive.
Right, but
I'm
that's what
also
I'm saying.
pretty
If she-
sure Uber did not exist in
Right.
2006.
Right, but if she took the car that Brian was supposedly supposed to get home with, wouldn't it make sense that he wouldn't have a way to get back home? Because his means of transportation is no longer there.
I mean, did she drive home at the end of the night?
Meredith drove Clint home,
Okay.
but
Mhm.
everything's within a pretty close vicinity, like within a mile or so. So
Mm.
it's not unlikely that Brian would have been able to walk
Mhm.
home from Tuna if they're all
Right.
kind of around the campus area. It'd be a long walk,
Yeah.
but doable for sure.
He
Okay.
did stumble his way home.
Yeah. So let's see.
So this is morning of day after.
Morning of day
They don't know where he's
after.
at.
They don't know where he's at. And Alexis decided to stay at Brian's apartment for the rest of the weekend just to see if he would turn up.
Mhm.
They had plans to leave for Miami on April 3rd. And
At what point did they tell the police? Because if she stayed there for 2
Yeah,
days without
like-
notifying anyone,
So
that's
they-
kind of crazy.
they told the police on April 3rd when he didn't show up for his flight to Miami.
So they,
two-
they waited the weekend.
they waited the weekend.
No contact. That wouldn't. How was she feeling? How?
They really have faith in him, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
Me personally, I would have called like after 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a very upstanding guy. Like, he's in medical school as a grad student.
Mm.
And I don't know what they were thinking about where he could be. But yeah,
Yeah.
they waited 2 days before they reported him missing. Once they did report him missing, the initial police investigation began with a review of the CCTV footage from Ugly Tuna on the night of the disappearance. And although Brian was seen re-entering the bar at 1:55, he was never seen leaving. And then, to your point, when police broadened their scope to analyze footage from bars and businesses around the city,
Mm-hmm.
Brian was also never seen on any of those.
But
There was no trace of him.
like at all, like throughout the night. Wait, so I thought you said he was bar hopping.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know for sure what, but
I mean, they
said,
probably saw him around leading up to.
but then like after the point
incident,
of his
but
disappearance, like he was not seen.
all,
Yeah,
gotcha.
all surrounding areas were no sign of him. That's.
Yeah.
How does a man just
I'm
vanish in thin
convinced
air
he
like
didn't
that?
leave. That's where
Right.
I'm at now.
Is there like a secret compartment in the bar that he like got shoved into or something?
That's got to be the only explanation because.
You guys, you know the story, The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes.
The guy gets built into the
Bro.
wall and
Yeah, I bet he's
Gets
so
trapped
in the
forever.
gateway.
that might have happened.
Stemming from real life instances.
Hey, that's in the story. The guy gets drunk, he lures him down into the catacombs.
Wow.
Wow. So Ugly Tuna Saloona is really just the cask of Amontillado.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
The Ugly Tuna Saloona is the catacombs of Paris. That's what I'm
There
saying.
we
when
go.
was this book released?
Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah, like
It came out like, last week.
Yeah. Recent-
200 years ago.
I'm
Recent
not
drop.
cultured. I need to know this. I'm gonna look it up.
It's a good read.
Yeah. But anyways, so I'm wondering if he was not seen leaving, and that was before the bar closed. Were the rest of the workers seen leaving?
I mean, they would close. I feel like they would know if someone was still in the bar as they close.
Yeah,
Right.
that's interesting. I didn't read anything about what the employees were thinking. I mean, for them, it was just a regular night. They didn't know that anything was even wrong.
So
Mhm.
nothing must have been obviously out of place then.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wasn't like sitting around in there after closing or
Interesting.
anything like that.
I'm wondering who all was left at the bar, if they had any sort of big bags that all of a sudden they were
Right.
carrying out, like...
There's no sign of him leaving or staying. That's
Right.
wild.
Yeah.
Unless he threw on a disguise or something.
So that was a theory
Oh.
that maybe while he was in there at some point he changed clothes and that made it hard to detect him. I did read something, I wish I had the source pulled up, but it was a video analyst who watched the videos over and over in depth as part of the police investigation and said with 100% certainty, regardless of clothing, that Brian was not seen on the cameras.
But that's just one guy.
That's just one guy.
You know?
Right.
So there is still a chance.
Based on the blurry footage of 20 years ago, pretty
then-
much.
Right.
If he did go out, where did he go? Like, if he walked out in a
Yeah.
different set of clothes.
Like,
I feel
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, the only theory I've ever heard is like he just wanted to get away from it all or something, but like
So that is another
it
theory.
Wanting
never
to
made
start fresh,
sense
so he
because
just
there were no
disappears.
signs of anything.
Takes on like a new legal name or whatever.
Yeah, so the only thought with that is that his mom had died the month before and they were pretty close. So one theory was that maybe he wanted to just go somewhere to grieve and get away from it and start again.
That would institute the fact that he would have returned eventually.
Exactly, which he never did.
Mhm.
And here's the thing. So, following the initial investigation, the police then decided to go and subject everybody that was in contact with Brian that night to a polygraph test, where they kind of ask you some questions. If you're lying, it'll go off.
Oh, okay.
Everyone agreed to it except for Clint. So they
That's
conducted
a little sus.
exactly. They conducted a polygraph on his dad, on Meredith. They never asked the two girls that he was talking to outside of the bar, but they did identify them, and
They're just two random girls.
yeah, they decided they were just two random girls.
Interesting.
But yeah,
But
Clint,
they weren't. You
What
know?
if they were like some form of mafia or something?
You never know.
Like, and
The
he
Columbus
just was
mob, the
decided
famous
that he
Columbus
was, yeah,
mob.
exactly, the famous Columbus mob.
you never
But
know.
he was like, realized that he was threatened by something. Maybe they know people in power, and he was like, "Oh crap, I have to go now." Like,
Right.
my position's been compromised. What if he was in the witness protection program and these people knew him from his previous life? I don't know,
That would
man.
be crazy. You better put that on Reddit. But
I'm
yeah,
thinking
as-
he's in Cuba with Tupac right now. That's what I'm thinking.
You never know. Yeah, as soon as police got involved, Clint kind of lawyered up and distanced himself from Brian's friends and family.
That's
And
that's not
That's not how a best
that's not
friend would
normal
act. Or-
behavior for an
Exactly.
innocent
You
friend.
said brother, right?
it's just his friend.
Oh, friend. Sorry, that's not how a friend would act if your friend went. That's not how
Right.
I would act, anyways.
Yo, my friend went missing. Time to lawyer up and cut all ties with
Exactly.
everyone involved. That's
So both
That's
Alexis,
not exactly innocent behavior.
both Alexis, his girlfriend, and his dad were like, "This is weird behavior from
Mhm.
Clint, and we don't trust him." But Clint was never prosecuted for anything, and there's been no developments on the case. People have called in a couple sightings of people that they thought were Brian. There have been some sightings in like Mexico or like places like that where someone's like, "I think this is Brian Shaffer," but police kind
Oh,
of track
wow.
it down, and they're like, "Nope, that's not him." So
Did they have like a source of his DNA that like they test or something to like test like the people that they're claiming to see Brian Shaffer? Is it? I feel like that's a weird way to put it, but do they like see if the DNA matches up or like?
that's a good question. They don't have DNA as far as I know, but he does have a Pearl Jam tattoo on his arm,
Mm.
and they identified like a speck in his iris or something.
Oh, okay.
So when they find people that they're like, "I think that's Brian," those are the kind of things that they look for.
Right. Things that would be hard to change about your appearance. Like,
Right.
you can put a wig on, you can put on different clothes, but a tattoo is permanent unless you get it removed, and even then there's still a kind of like a shadow.
Right, and a thing in your eye is like,
Yeah.
that's not going away.
True.
So yeah, this definitely remains an unsolved
That's
mystery.
crazy.
Is there a reward, cash reward, still to this day?
I don't know about today, but there was a $7,000 reward
Whoa.
within the first week of the case.
Nowadays, that would only pay for about like a quarter of my tuition.
Right.
What if he found himself?
What if he found him and then he took the money and went to Cuba?
That'd be a great scheme. Think about it. You go missing on purpose for like a weekend, get the reward up, and then you just like text a buddy, say, "Hey, come find me. I'm over
Right.
here," and then he gets the reward.
Come
Easy
find
money.
me and let's split the reward on my
But then that's kind of crazy because then you find out how much
How much
you
you're
are
worth.
worth, which
Right.
may or may not make you want to come back.
Man, I'm
Oh,
only
man.
$2,000. That sucks.
Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like only 2,000. Man, Brian Shaffer went for 7,000.
Right? Come on.
I think the craziest thing is that they waited 2 days to
No,
tell the
literally.
authorities
I
because
know.
don't they say that the odds of finding someone gets cut in half after 24 hours and then just keeps getting lower every day after
And
that?
I don't know about you, but if I got separated from my friend at a bar and then I couldn't reach them on their phone and I didn't see them leave the bar, I wouldn't want to leave.
No, like I wouldn't want to go on to my
Yeah.
vacation to, what did you say, Miami?
Yeah, Brian and his girlfriend had planned to go to Miami before he went
Right.
missing.
So like if the fact that she was still waiting for him to show up, I wouldn't even want to go if I couldn't reach him.
I
Right.
think you mean for the night of situation. Like, I would stay in the area for, like,
Right.
an hour,
You don't
maybe?
split up, especially when you're intoxicated. Like,
And
that's-
especially if
that's
you
not-
can't get a hold of someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
crazy.
I think that's interesting, especially since, Clint wouldn't subject to the polygraph. It makes me wonder,
what does he know?
Right.
Was he involved and he doesn't want to fess up, or does he just know that, like, maybe Brian confided him, like, drunkenly, like, I'm gonna do this?
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Because there's no evidence of, like, an altercation or anything in the bar. People, like, it was a normal night.
True,
everyone seemed
nobody
to say.
reported any serious fights or anything like that.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards as far as, like, maybe Brian said, hey, I'm getting the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And he told Clint, and Clint's like, okay, I'm not going to disclose that
Then
to
it's
anybody.
true friend behavior.
Exactly.
Then it is
It
true
stops
friend
looking
behavior,
weird.
Yeah, because
Well,
then,
I mean, to everyone else it looks weird, but he's like,
but in reality, he's just,
keeping the
like,
secret.
keeping the loyalty of his, like, staying loyal to his friend.
Yeah. But we don't know, and the case is pretty much cold. There's really not any investigation going on it right now.
Dang. No new technologies have helped in the
Nope.
20 years since.
That's Brian
Dang.
Shaffer.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Or not?
Maybe.
Question mark?
or hopefully he's living a brand new life as someone that we may not know. Like, brand new name, brand new life.
New apples.
True.
Yeah.